All right, so now that we've talked about a little bit about Japanese art, I'm going to go through the PowerPoint that we have so that we can get a little better idea of what this type of art looks like, and we can start to make observations about how this art is created versus our Western art, what we're used to. So I want you guys to make some observations about that as we go through the PowerPoint. So I'm going to start going through that, and I'll explain a bit as we go. So this is The Great Wave by Hokusai, and this is one of the most famous paintings done in Japanese history. You'll see it all over the place, and this is an example of what we'll be studying specifically, which is woodblock paint art, or print art, I mean. These are examples of Japanese sculptures. There's quite a bit of difference. They look to sculptures like with different gods and different spiritual beings. So that's a bit different from us, who we don't really have many gods. We in our society usually have one, regardless of what religion you are. This is kabuki theater. This is a performance art that Japan does that they're very commonly known for. You can hit the link. We'll just go through it really quickly. Just because it is very interesting and totally, totally different from what we know as theater and operatic performances. So we'll just watch this for like a minute. It's interesting. Notice their costumes and their hairstyle, and they also paint their faces in full pure white.
It's a Japanese traditional theatre form, which originated in the Edo period at the beginning of the 17th century, and was particularly popular among townspeople.
Alright, you can pause it there. So that's just a short little example about what kabuki theater looks like, when it came into practice, and why they like it so much. So we'll move on to what kabuki theater costumes kind of look like. They have, they wear masks, which represent that white paint. So I have two examples of kabuki masks, and I had actually painted one, but I couldn't find it. But it looked very similar to that, and then they have various styles, everything from like demon spirits to like kind, pretty faces. So that's a very big common thing in kabuki theater. And now we have woodblock print art, which was my main focus for this lesson, what we're going to be focusing on as our activity. Woodblock print art is very similar to movable type print, but came much, much earlier than that. So movable type print was when you had different blocks with letters that you could rearrange to make words on paper. This is carving whole images into wood and pressing them to make or recreate a work of art. These are just some of the stages that it goes in. So it'll start off completely gray. They'll do a black just outline of the image, and then they'll slowly move in, filling in details. And then you'll see as they add, they're showing what they're adding here and how it's affecting the picture that they keep pressing. And then we're starting to add color now over the grayscale, so it gives it that kind of older, more Japanese aesthetic. And as we come to the end, we see little taglines for like author names or statements about the picture, and then final little highlight details. So it's a long process to go through, but it comes out with wonderful results. That is the end of my short PowerPoint. So what I would like to do is we are going to think of the observations that we made, and we are going to create our own woodblock print art. I made these examples last night. This was my forest with people in it, so I made a little cutout stamp of a tree and a little cutout stamp of a person, and then I just dipped it in paint, and I made little characters for my print art. So I want you guys to try and practice that I brought scissors and cardboard for you to cut out fun shapes, and I got paper here. So whenever you guys want to come up, I'm going to put paint on one of these for you guys to dip into. Feel free to mix the paint if you want. And you can come up and grab some cardboard to create a stencil, or if you'd like to use my stencils, that is also totally fine. Yeah. So we'll just take a moment or two to do that, and then we will wrap up.
Well done.
There you go. If you need help creating a stamp, you can do it in several ways. If you want to just cut out the cardboard into your shape, that's fine. What I had done is I cut into the cardboard and then peeled away so it looked a little bit more like what the woodblock print art looks like. But either way works perfectly fine. Nice. Very good.
Sorry.
And no, that tree came out a little lopsided. It was hard to cut precisely into cardboard, but I think the stamp shows the point pretty well. Oh, that's awesome. I can tell.
No, I don't want to mix the paint.
It's okay.
Okay.
I can always put out more.
Okay.
I mixed the paint on mine, and it honestly did not affect it that much at all. Again, I'm very proud of it. Very nice dachshund.
Oops. Everybody look at my dachshund.
Very nicely created.
Do, 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 do.
Oh my god. Typical Jenny. Typical Jenny.
I'm just gonna use that. Here you go. This is mine.
So,
This is their
while you
outline
guys are
getting
working
ready.
on this project, what kind of things did you notice about Japanese art that you might consider when you're creating woodblock art? What did you notice about that? What kind of steps or what was different about U.S. art or Western art in comparison to Japanese art? Yes, Jenny.
In Western art, they just do the whole picture at one time. They don't
Mhm.
really break it up into these different parts to add more detail slowly. They just kind of like in one sitting almost
Yeah.
do the whole thing.
Yeah, and this Jenny brings up a good point that this is a lot more detailed, but this was also an older method of creating art. Now it's more of a nostalgic thing, so people still practice it, but this back then was the best way to capture images to recreate books or make prints for new paintings. So they would originally paint the picture in full color, but to create and repeat the image, this was the process that they went through.
I was gonna say that. Just so you know, I do that.
Well, what else do you know, Sarah?
A lot of things.
What's one of the things that you know? Did you notice anything else about Japanese art?
But they didn't really have that much variety in color. Like, at least based on this, it looked like blues and reds and blacks and whites.
Yeah, they
That's about it.
definitely are very thematic about their color
Yeah.
choices. I think that in their society there are more implications about color, so that's why they choose those things. I know that in holidays especially that's relevant, so that could be a crossover from that. There are also a lot of other types of art form in books. There's now books called manga, which are a new art form for Japan, where they have anime images for their characters that they create in a comic book style, and that has become very popular in Japan and a very popular art form. Whenever you're ready to show your picture, if you want to come up to the camera and give us an example of your work, that would be awesome.
I made a dachshund print, and here's the boy dachshund and the girl dachshund, and that's their owner up here. It's a print of a human, and then since I had some paint on my fingers, I thought it would be fun to try a fingerprint, and I made a heart with my fingerprints.
That's really nice. That's perfect.
Thanks.
What did you make, Sandy?
I made an altar, and these two people are getting married.
Oh,
And I stole Jenny's idea for the fingerprint heart.
that's very sweet. If anyone else is finished and they want to volunteer sharing, that would be just fine. Maggie, that looks really good.
Thank you.
I like the geometric patterns that you have. Very good application of our recent math studies.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Very creative. What did you make, Wes?
All right, and because it's my first letter of my name, I made a W.
Awesome. Very awesome.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much. I really enjoyed teaching you this lesson.